Hey guys, we were going to talk today about one of our favorite resorts, which is the Boardwalk Resort at Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. So we start these reviews out by going over the pros and cons. And then we'll talk about the pool, dining, transportation, the decor, and the room. And at the very end, we'll have a room tour. This one, we'll go ahead and put the standard room tour in, but we also have a DVC studio room tour. So I will put a link to that here or here up above, and you can click on that if you'd rather see that room tour. But I'll just put the standard room for this review.
How many times have we stayed at Boardwalk? Is it 3, 4?
It's at least 3. At least 3.
I think 3.
Yeah, I think 3.
Yeah.
And we stayed once in a standard room and twice in a DVC studio room. And we're not DVC owners, we rented points.
Yeah.
And we also have a video about renting DVC points, so I'll again link that above in a corner. So anyway, back to Boardwalk. What are
Boardwalk, pros and cons.
Let's talk pros.
So if you've seen our beach club, is it beach club?
Yeah, Beach Club.
Beach Club review. It's probably going to be similar pros because they're right next to each other.
Yeah, and I'll put a link up above to that review as well. There'll be several links in a row here.
Location is the obvious one, of course. It's so close to Epcot, and you're in walking distance of also Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, being able to walk to 2 parks, and if you've watched other videos, you know Epcot is our favorite park. So, you know, if Magic Kingdom's your favorite park, that sort of changes things, but for us, Epcot's our absolute favorite. Obviously, Hollywood Studios in its current state, I don't think either of us would say is our favorite park, but we used to like it, and I'm sure we'll love it again, you know, once
the Star
they
Wars
finish
lands,
Star Wars and Toy Story. So anyway, that's the #1 reason we stay there. And interestingly, I would say a pro is for the Epcot area, the price, because used to, Boardwalk was always slightly cheaper than Beach Club, but lately that's not been the case. We have an upcoming trip next year that I already made reservations for, and Beach Club was actually slightly less than Boardwalk, which just blew me away for a standard room, like comparing room to room, the same type of room. And I'll talk about during the cons, one of the reasons that I kind of think Beach Club is better as far as the room type offerings they have.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, we ended up going with Beach Club because of that. But sometimes, I don't know if that's a trend towards the future because Boardwalk suddenly become more popular, or if it'll go back down. So always check the rates. Sometimes it has a good rate compared to Beach Club.
It could be getting popular because my next pro would be the Boardwalk area itself, right in front. That is hopping at night. During the day, it doesn't really, not much is going on during the day, right? It's always at night.
It's at night. It's once the sun goes down, they bring out magicians, jugglers, just street entertainers that are really good. Like, we've watched the magicians and you cannot tell, you know, how they do their tricks. Like, they're really good.
And they always draw huge crowds. So I think that's very popular for people, so that could be driving the price up.
True, and we were there actual Halloween night, and they had a huge dance party on the lawn, on the Boardwalk side, but at the Boardwalk Resort. So they do definitely have a ton of entertainment. Plus, we'll get into dining, but they have a ton of restaurants and bars and just evening entertainment. Some of it's open during the day, some of it's more in the evening, but just so much to do there on the Boardwalk.
Yeah. Other pros, the buses?
I'm going to say a pro that depends on your personal family type, but for us, since we don't have children, there's fewer children at Boardwalk. There just are. There's a lot more children at other resorts. Boardwalk, I would say, of the resorts we stayed at, probably has the fewest children.
Yeah.
And neither of us dislike children. It's just that they're kind of loud. I'm sure you know that if you're parents. And so you don't have them running down the hall. Like, we just stayed at Bay Lake Towers, which is a beautiful resort, but we had like hordes of children running down the hall screaming, and they're excited, which is fine. But it's just a lot more peaceful, I would say, at Boardwalk. Yeah. And the theming, we'll talk about the theming more in detail, but it's a little more adult as well. So if you do have children, it might not be your top pick just for that reason, because of the theming.
Yeah. I like the bus transportation there.
Bus is good.
Better than the beach club.
It is definitely better than the beach club. Again, back in our beach club review, we talked about, since they have Cape May Cafe character breakfast, the bus for Magic Kingdom can get really clogged.
Yeah.
Plus, they share a bus with the Yacht Club. Boardwalk typically has a dedicated bus. We have been there before when they share with the Swan and Dolphin, but that's not typical. Typically, they have their own dedicated buses.
I don't think we ever had a stand on any buses from Boardwalk.
I don't think we have either, ever.
Yeah, so definitely, I like the bus service there.
Yeah, and so you only need a bus for Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, because you can either walk or take the boat to Epcot. Yeah. And we'll get more into transportation, but yeah, that's definitely a plus.
Any other pros for you?
I like the rooms. I like the theming. It's very cute. It has, well, we'll talk about that more, but it has sort of the old-timey, boardwalk. So I think it's like the, New Jersey
the music
boardwalk.
They also play outside
they
and inside the hall areas,
somewhere in the era of 20s to 40s. I couldn't pinpoint
it. Like on Twilight or Tower of Terror.
Tower of Terror. Yeah. It's the same style of music, which is nice. The way it's decorated, with a couple of exceptions, which we'll talk about, is nice. I like it. I think it's a nice and fun resort. I can't really think of any other pros. Do you have any? Well, it's close to some good dining, which we'll get into during the dining as well. Plus, back to the proximity to Epcot, because you can run over and get your fish and chips. Yeah. Because we're so close. So
cons? For me, the quick service. It's really lackluster. So
it's the Boardwalk Bakery. That's
you have to go outside. So if it's raining, you're gonna get wet and go get your food. And
there's nowhere to sit inside.
That's true. Yeah.
So you have to either sit outside at uncovered tables, or you have to take it back to your room to eat.
Yeah.
And so it goes back to not just rain, but if it's like 100 degrees outside, or it feels like 100 in Florida, which is pretty common, you'll be sitting out in the blistering sun, or you can take it back to your room. Also, I would say, as a gluten-free person, their options are tiny.
Yeah.
It's probably the worst gluten-free selection of any quick service on Disney property. They have 2 pre-made sandwiches, which are not very good, neither one. I mean, it's because they're pre-made, and also the gluten-free buns are kind of lackluster. That's across the board. And then they have a salad that you can order gluten-free, but they have to make it for you. And the last time I ordered it, meaning the one that's already pre-made is not certified gluten-free, so you have to ask them to make you a fresh one.
It took forever, right?
It took forever. It took them like 15 minutes to make a salad. So, and I appreciate them handling gluten-free, don't get me wrong, but those are really the only 3 options. Is there's 2 pre-made sandwiches and that one salad that you have to, at least I had to wait a while to get. They do carry Aaron McKenna Bakery, which used to be known as Baby Cakes. They carry a tiny foursome of their cupcakes. They sell out pretty quick, but they occasionally have those there.
1-bite cakes.
Yeah, like really tiny cupcakes. And so that's nice that they have that. But right across the way, again, if you watch our Beach Club review, they have way better quick service. And I mean, it's not even the best on property, but it's better than Boardwalk. So I agree with you. What's next for cons?
I don't have any, really. I like the resort.
Yeah, I like the resort a lot too. I would say, for not counting DVC, for regular rooms, the room designation I'm not crazy about. They have standard rooms as of the time of this recording, and then they have like waterfront rooms, which are the ones right on the boardwalk, and those are very expensive. But with a standard room, you can get a view of the parking lot, or you could get a view of a beautiful garden area. And so that's pretty extreme. Like, we got lucky, and the only time we stayed in the standard room, we had a beautiful view. Beautiful. And we could even see the fireworks from illuminations. Like, everything was perfect. But then I kept telling him, I was like, next time we're going to be so disappointed, because you can't specify that I'd rather pay a little more and get a garden view. It's the same rate, which is kind of nice if you get lucky, but if you don't get lucky. Oh, and I forgot to mention a pro. Compared to Beach Club, they all have balconies.
Oh yeah, they do.
The Boardwalk does. Every room has a full balcony. Okay. So sorry, I'm dipping back into the pros.
They're big balconies.
They're very big.
Yeah.
Some of them do have solid walls you can't see through. Not all the way up, but up like halfway, and some are kind of open. So of course the open ones are nicer, but they're all nice. I mean, it lets you sit outside and enjoy it. But anyway, back to the cons. I'd say those room types is a con, because with Beach Club, again, to compare, since it's just right there, you can specify and pay. It's just a few bucks more a night, and you get a woods or garden view instead of a parking lot view. I'd rather pay the few more bucks and guarantee that we have a good view.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how all the hotels are not like, or resorts are not like that there. Like Coronado is not like that.
Nope. Meaning you pay a standard room and you might get parking lot and you might get a lake view.
The Animal Kingdom Lodge, you can choose, right?
Yes.
Safari
and
or...
Also, Port Orleans French Quarter you can choose because we picked a river view. So yeah, it would be nice if they were consistent, but oh well. So that would be a con. I can't think of many more cons. We really, I would say, I hate to keep comparing to Beach Club, but it's ever so slightly further from Epcot than Beach Club.
Yeah.
So again, for us, we like being as close to Epcot as possible. It can
be a hot walk too across that bridge.
It is a hot walk. There's no shade. And so if you come back midday to take a break, it can be a really blistering walk. So I know it sounds funny to say, well, it takes 10 minutes to get to Boardwalk and 5 to get to Beach Club. But if you're already tired and it's really hot, that can make a big difference. So another pro I forgot to mention though is the boat going to Epcot does not stop at any other resorts, and the boat coming back from Epcot does not stop at. In other words, you're the last stop going to Epcot and you're the first stop. So if the boat happens to come up while you're there, it's definitely faster to take the boat. We timed it. And vice versa, if you're leaving Epcot and the boat's there, jump on it. Otherwise it's faster to walk than to wait for the boat, unless you're just really tired.
The pool.
So let's talk about both pools. Let's talk about the Quiet Pool first.
Quiet Pool is awesome.
Our first trip, we were really close, almost overlooked. We couldn't see it, but we were very close to the Quiet Pool. And so we went there every evening practically, and it was so nice. There was no one there. We were it's kind of hard to find. It's in an interior courtyard.
Yeah.
And so you have to go through the main building and then figure out how to, remember the first time we had a really hard time finding it. And so I think that's why there's not that many people there, because they can't find it. And so they just go to the main pool, which is a lot more visible.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. We would go down there in the evening and be like either the only people or there'd be 2 or 3 other people. It was
really
quiet.
Nice.
It has a spa, like a hot tub. Really nice. And then, of course, there's what's known as the Crazy Clown Pool. That's the main pool. It
has an awesome water slide.
Yeah, Brian really enjoyed the water slide. That's the one with the clown. But I love, other than the clown, I love the theming. I love the old roller coaster look. It looks like an old wooden roller coaster.
Well, the pool bar looks cool too.
It's cute.
It looks like a carousel. Yeah.
It's Leaping Horse Libations. And this last trip, we just stayed there recently, and was it October? Yeah, October, November. And I got a drink from there as one of their sort of custom drinks that they have that's specific to that particular bar, and it was really good. So I would definitely recommend the bar. It's a nice bar. And also the inside bar does not open until like 5 p.m. So if it's during the lunchtime or afternoon and you want to drink and you're staying at that resort, that's your go-to place, would be the Leaping Horse Libations at the main pool. So also it's a big pool for the size of the resort. I think
it didn't seem like much seating though around the pool.
Oh,
it seemed kind of limited
on the seating.
Yeah.
And then they have a pretty good size hot tub, but I noticed it was always full, whereas the Quiet Pool, the hot tub was usually empty. So that's another advantage of going to the Quiet Pool. And we should mention the main pool is close to the DVC villas, and the Quiet Pool is by standard or non-DVC rooms. Yeah. So that's another difference. So we basically go whichever pool's closest. So when we stayed next to the Quiet, we went there. And when we stayed DVC, we went to the main.
We would also be on the DVC rooms close to the elevator. Just hop on the elevator, go down, and basically
you're right at the main pool. Yeah. And next to the pool, we should mention there's a workout room. We've never used it. Yeah. And there's also an arcade, which we've walked through briefly. It's pretty small, the arcade, but there's a few games. And those are all right next to the pool. So anything else about the pool? Oh, and actually there's one more pool. There's another pool on that same side. If you go sort of further down that walkway towards Hollywood Studios, there's yet another pool. And I think it's sort of considered a quiet pool, but it's not as quiet as the first one we mentioned, because this one has the rec center that I think is for the DVC users.
It's easier to find too.
And it also has a big fire pit, and they do like the roasting marshmallows and stuff at that pool, which I found interesting because typically they do that at the main pool. So I thought it was kind of interesting at this one they do it in a different location, but they do have that as well. So yeah, there's 3 pools. Yeah. So now we're going to talk about dining, and sadly we don't have a lot of experience with this. I think it's because it's so close to Epcot. Yep. So we end up going to Epcot to
We'd rather dine at Epcot.
Or just be at Epcot. I mean, we just love Epcot.
Yeah.
But I do know a bit about the restaurants, even though we haven't eaten there. So we already covered quick service, so I'm not going to talk about that again. And I will mention though that the lounge, the bar that's inside of the resort, the one I mentioned opening at 5 p.m. in the morning, they do have coffee and like pastry type stuff. Muffins, you can buy, like you know, quick grab things, not cooked.
I think they have bagels too, so there's bagel fans out there, so you can get your bagel in there.
Yeah, so if you just want a quick grab, they do have that inside, and that's inside the hotel instead of outside. Mm-hmm. So talking about the restaurants, I'm just going to sort of go down the line in the best order that I can remember them from the outside. There's the ESPN Club, and as far as I know, it's one of the only sports bars. I'm not saying it's the only one, but there's not many at Disney World. So if you really want to catch a game or you're a big sports fan, and I know they have sports memorabilia inside, that would be a good place to go, and it's always packed. Yeah. Like we walk by and there's people sitting outside, it's full inside.
It looks fun. I mean, people are always having a good time around there. So.
And then I'm just sort of going down the line mentally, so if I skip something, I'll try to come back to it. I think the next one is possibly the Ample Hill Farms, which is a fairly new ice cream parlor. It's sort of, I think, high-end ice cream is how I would describe it. We have not been there. Neither of us are huge ice cream people. I mean, not that we hate it or anything, but it's just not something we go out of the way for. Then there's the Trattoria Al Forno.
Oh, the pizza window.
And that's sort of right next to Trattoria Al Forno. But it's not their pizza, by the way. A lot of people think it's going to be the same pizza.
So there's like just a window and they just serve pizza outside this window.
And you've gotten pizza from there.
Yeah, it's good.
And they told me they can do gluten-free. I just have to wait like 45 minutes.
Which was
I'm serious.
Weird.
45 minutes. Yeah. And so I didn't want to wait 45 minutes, so I did not do that. But they do have the option. And so Trattoria Al Forno is an Italian restaurant, and it used to just be that. Now they have added a new character breakfast, which has typically, they don't guarantee which characters will be there, but it's supposed to be Ariel and Eric, and also Rapunzel and Flynn Rider. And so that's actually tempting to me, even though we tend to avoid character breakfast, because I love Tangled. That's one of my favorite Disney movies. But we haven't done that yet. And in fact, they changed that since we've been to Disney. Okay. Like, it's so recent adding that. I've never heard anything bad about the food. I haven't heard anyone really rave about it either. I think it's decent Italian style food. Then there's the Flying Fish, which used to be Flying Fish Cafe. They dropped the cafe off. They did a remodel. They tweaked the menu. And I think it's a new chef as well. And it's super expensive, even for it's a signature restaurant, which in Disney terminology means they're top tier restaurant. And it typically means you're gonna spend, close to that $50 mark on entrees. I'm not saying they're all $50, they'd be in the 40s usually for an entree. And so I looked at the menu, and we've talked about going there multiple times, but I can't bring myself to do it because, like, the scallops, you get 4 scallops, and I think it's like $45 or something.
It's fish, so I can do fish.
Yeah, so we haven't been, but I'm very tempted because everyone gives it good reviews. Like even Josh from Easy WDW, and he's pretty critical. He said he went in expecting not to be impressed because it's so expensive, and that he was still impressed. So it gets really great reviews. And it's nice that they have a signature. I mean, that's a nice option. And then down at the other end, they have the Big River Grill. We've never been there, and everything I've heard about that is that the food is just okay. I'm just summarizing. I haven't been there personally. Not that the food's bad, just not remarkable. So that's basically what I would say for dining. And then don't forget, you got all of Epcot, and you've got all the restaurants at the Beach Club, which we covered in our other review.
Well, Swan and Dolphin too have their own nice restaurants.
That's right. So our next topic is transportation, which I know we touched on. We already mentioned that the bus service is really good. Yep. And don't get me wrong, anywhere you stay, you can end up having an abnormally wait for the bus, you know, abnormally long. But generally, I think the bus service is pretty good there.
Yeah, so they have buses to Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom.
Right.
And Disney Springs, and of course.
Right.
And then boats to Hollywood Studios and Epcot.
Yes. And walking to Epcot is highly recommended. Like I said, unless the boat's already there. And walking to Disney's Hollywood Studios, unless it's really hot and in the middle of the day, is also highly recommended, just because from that direction, the boat will stop multiple times.
Yeah.
You can beat, even if you're slow, you can beat the boat. It's almost a mile to Hollywood Studios, so it is a walk. But if you go in the morning, there's some shade because of the angle of the sun. And same if you come back at night after the fireworks, of course, there's no sun. So, you know, it's pleasant. And it's a nice little walk by the river all the way down, you know, the waterway. And the boat will stop if you take it to Hollywood Studios at Beach Club and at Swan and Dolphin. And so that's what takes so long. It has to offload and put people on.
Onload.
Then the boat's slow too. It goes really slow. So we've tried it before walking at my normal pace. And if you're not already familiar with me, I'm under 5 feet tall, so I'm very short. And walking at my normal slow pace, we can beat the boat easily to the point we can't even see it coming.
Yeah.
We'll look at the boat, make note of it, walk, and we can't even see it once we get to Hollywood Studios. So it's definitely faster to walk if you're up for it.
So Decor?
Beautiful. I really like, I think that's one, you know, other than Animal Kingdom, which of course has some really amazing.
They do a great job of, you feel like you're in the era on the actual boardwalk, you know, just like what we said about Beach Club.
Like a retro boardwalk. And it's so pretty. Like everything's sort of like whitewash and clean and elegant. Like the lobby's very beautiful, and they have a lot of sort of that Coney Island, you know, seashore theme park feel, but in a retro way. They have a little miniature roller coaster in the lobby from that era. They have carousel horse chandelier hanging from the ceiling, and it's massive. I mean, the horses are huge on it. Then they have these strange little man chairs in the, I'll try to insert a picture here in the lobby, and they're really creepy, especially if you go down there. I've gone down there early in the morning to grab a paper for Brian, and when no one's in the lobby, those things are really creepy. But you know, they've just got a lot of really neat things with the theming, and the rooms are nice too. I would say the inside of the room is not quite as nice to me as Beach Club, and both have been freshened, but I think Beach Club got a more intensive overhaul, and they look really nice. I'm not saying the rooms are bad at Boardwalk, I just don't think they're quite as nice as Beach Club, and that's a lot of personal preference too on the color schemes and stuff.
That leads into the last topic, the room itself.
The room itself. So like I said, we've stayed standard and we've stayed studio DVC. There's only 2 of us, so we don't need a bigger room than that. We've never stayed waterfront, but I will tell you what I've heard about it. First of all, it's very expensive. You can see that for yourself online. But also, I've heard from multiple people that it's pretty loud, and so we talked about all the entertainment on the boardwalk.
Which I can see that, because the bars, you know.
Right. And oh, that reminds me, we forgot to mention one bar, since he said bars. We forgot to mention the Abracadabra when I was going down for dining.
That was a new one.
Yeah, it's not exactly dining. They do have some teeny tiny small plates, but I wouldn't even call it heavy appetizers or anything. But that's actually one of my favorite bars on property. It's very cool. It has a, again, retro magician theme.
Yeah, definitely. Even if you don't want to drink, just pop in and take a look at the bar, because it's really
the atmosphere. It's very cool. And like, I got a margarita, and not only did it have a neat sort of magic trick associated with it, but also it was one of the better margaritas I've had on property. It was really good, and it was fresh made. There was no like pre-mix or anything. It was all fresh made by a bartender while we watched. So I would definitely recommend it. So anyway, sorry, back to the room.
Yeah.
So
the waterfront. So
yeah, so that's loud
because you got people going to bars late at night. Oh, also, they have the jelly rolls?
Oh, jelly rolls, which is a piano bar.
And the dance hall.
The dance hall, which I don't think it's used a whole lot.
But I mean,
so it's a lot of nightlife. Yeah. And also, they, like we said, they have those street magicians and jugglers, and that gets a crowd, and they're excited. So if you're early to bed people, then it might not be the best choice as far as noise. But I know some people stay there every single time, the waterfront, and they love it. So I mean, it just depends on your personality and maybe how deep a sleeper you are. But we have stayed in the standard room, and we lucked out, as we mentioned, and got a garden view, and it was beautiful. And we were also angled towards Epcot, and we were on the 5th floor. So from our balcony, and it wasn't concierge, they actually have some standard 5th floor rooms. We could actually see the Illuminations fireworks.
Standard room didn't have a couch, right? I don't think it did.
No, it did.
Oh, it did?
It did. It was only Beach Club that didn't. We had a weird room at Beach Club that didn't have a couch. Yeah, it had a couch. And that's the room tour we'll include at the end. So you'll see what that looked like. And then we've also stayed twice in a DVC studio room. Yep. So that comes with a kitchenette. So it's a small fridge, a microwave, coffee maker, that kind of, a sink, meaning a kitchen sink. But no stove or anything.
Right, you're not going to be cooking eggs and bacon.
Right. And then otherwise, it's fairly similar, except that you only get one sink instead of 2 sinks in the bathroom, which I find kind of interesting. It's a bigger room, but you get less sinks. But maybe because you have that kitchen sink, they count that as 2. I don't know. And then you get a queen bed, and then there's a pull-out couch, and then there's also a fold-down, almost like a Murphy bed, single bed, so it'll hold 5 people. Yeah. And and you get 2 queens in the standard of the regular standard room. I don't know if they have king rooms or not. They might. It seems like most hotels at least have a few of them, but we didn't even request at that time because we were traveling with friends and we wanted to get adjoining rooms, so we didn't even try to get a king room. So is that about it for the room?
That's it for the...
And as we mentioned, they all have balconies, which is nice. All the rooms have balconies, but we love it. It's one of our favorite resorts.
It is.
It's right up there. I would say, factoring everything, including location, I would say Beach Club, Boardwalk, Animal Kingdom are probably our favorite resorts.
I agree.
Yeah.
For that, for deluxe.
Yeah. For deluxe.
It's all Pop Century.
Yeah.
You know, I have some love for Pop Century.
Well, and that's true. It's all about how much money you want to spend at the time, like how important location and a few amenities and comforts. I will say the beds are very comfortable at Boardwalk too. I didn't have any issue with the beds. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. So stay tuned. There's a room tour right after this. So here we are at our room. Finally, it's ready. Very nice. So we have a fridge, closet with a safe, bathroom, very nice, and a cute, I guess you get a fan whether you want it or not, cute Ferris wheel on the curtain. That's very cute. That's for the fan. I guess all the lights are individual. Very pretty. Got a little desk. Nice balcony. Very, very nice. See the Eiffel Tower, Japan. They're in the garden below. It's really nice. And then the pool is like right over there. That's so nice. Very happy. We really got lucky on the room. Quit letting our air conditioning out. So I've never understood this about the deluxe hotels at Disney. They have a couch, but the TV is always next to it. So if you want to watch TV, you have to sit in the bed. And I don't like to do that. I prefer to sit on the couch. But anyways, beautiful room. Really nice. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, we appreciate subscribes, likes, shares, and leave us a comment. What's your favorite resort? Have you stayed at Boardwalk? Did you like it?
Yeah.
How does it measure up?
Any hints or tips for Boardwalk? You know,
for other viewers. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Bye.